Hello and welcome. As we approach the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MA370, more reports and theories are starting to appear in the news headlines. How many experts have written books on their opinions on what happened to this flight? But none has any inside information on what really happened to this flight. They've built their theories on the information that's been released by the Malaysian government, and even Malaysian Airlines has been instructed to follow the official line given out by their government. Now that is all lies that they're giving out. Do you think that they really want us to know what happened? No way. It's best to just say that that plane flew all the way down to the deepest, most remote ocean on planet Earth, which happens to be the South Indian Ocean, and dived headfirst into that ocean and disappeared forever. For the authorities, it was best to find a patsy, and that happened to be the captain of the plane. Easier to blame him and besmirch his reputation than to tell the truth. This plane disappeared only 38 minutes into the flight over the South China Seas. Nowhere near the South Indian Ocean. That's thousands of kilometres away. No, 38 minutes out of Kuala Lumpur. That's when it disappeared. And we're not going to be told what happened. And so it happened a couple of weeks after the event. I was at the gym with my usual bunch of friends when one of the guys, who I hadn't seen for over 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, turned up. A lovely young fellow. When I say young, in spirit, he was retired. He was a retired physicist, laid-back guy, but he came in a little bit agitated and he asked to see me. I thought, sure. Well, what's up? He said, can we go into the canteen and have a cup of coffee? I don't want to talk in front of the other guys. The other guys thought he was a bit of a nut because he was a physicist, and he and I were both interested in things that were a little bit surreal. For example, UFOs, for argument's sake. And they thought he was a bit of a nut. So anyway, so we went into the canteen, and he said to me, he said, Tone, have you heard about Malaysian Flight 370? I said, yes, sure have. He said, do you know what happened? I said, no, I don't. He said, well, I do. He said, and I'm really, really pissed off. I said, you know what happened? He said, yes, I do. It so happens that he was involved in the development of the laser beam. Originally, they developed this laser beam to map the ocean floor. But then the Americans invested lots of money and wanted to develop it as a weapon. In those days, we knew nothing about it. But today, we know about the high energy laser weapon that the United States Navy possesses. And this weapon is something else. He also had connection with the Pine Gap spy installation in the middle of Australia. Pine Gap installation is the most sophisticated listening installation. They have the most sophisticated, latest, best listening devices on planet Earth. If it's happening, they know about it. Now, truly, I was so surprised to see him so upset. He continued that all the reports that we were going to hear were lies. And the reason why we were going to be lied to forever was that Pine Gap installation knew exactly what happened. And through connections, my friend found out. Mainly because he was with the original team that started working on the laser beam. And what really got to him was that his connections from Pine Gap told him that Malaysia Flight 370 was accidentally, mistakenly blasted out of the sky. Most probably by a laser beam, the type on which he worked. That was really getting to him. He felt so guilty. He just couldn't contain himself. So he said, to divert the attention away from whoever it was who fired this particular secret laser, in the middle of the night, over the South China Sea, they formulated a scenario. And this scenario was, make everybody look in the South Indian Ocean. Doesn't matter how much it costs, it cannot come back to the responsible people. We know that a few months after 370 went missing, the Russians fired a missile at Malaysian airline Flight 17 over the Ukraine. Blew it out of the sky in the middle of the day. There were hundreds of witnesses, and of course, the debris and the wreckage was all gathered from both the plane and the missile that blew it out of the sky. Whereas Malaysian Flight 370 went missing over the ocean in the middle of the night. So there was nobody there to have a look and tell us what happened. Now, what happened to the wreckage? People say, oh, we couldn't find any wreckage. Well, was anybody looking for it? And perhaps it was gathered, and to make sure that we were looking in the South Indian Ocean, a few pieces were dropped into that ocean so that they would be washed up onto some remote beach on some remote island. Who knows? I don't know. Do you know? Certain people know. I can only say what my friend told me, how it disappeared. What happened after it disappeared is all conjecture. Unfortunately, especially for the relatives and friends of those who lost their lives on Flight 370, we'll never know. They will never have closure, just so that certain governments are not going to be held responsible. Now, you may believe it, you may not believe it, but if you knew my friend, you would no way would you doubt him. He is as honest as the day is long. And that's what I can say about Flight 370. Thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to give a like, share, subscribe. If you subscribe, it'll help this channel grow. And we are growing, slowly, but we are growing. And I like to tell different types of stories each time. And if that seems to be up your alley, subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe and watch and give a thumbs up. Okay, thanks for watching. Keep smiling, stay positive, and until next time, bye for now.